The Sea of Ice. Together with Mo, search for the Gelato Sisters. Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Densetsu no Starfy. In the last part, we went through the stranded whale stage and took care of things over there after finishing up things in the coral reef. And now it's time for a level I like on this visit. Not so much on future ones for reasons we'll get into later. With that said, being an ice level, get this, you got a lot of slippery physics. Whenever you're on solid ground, by and large, you can slip and slide all over the place. Now, thankfully, in the water, you don't need to worry about this whatsoever, but be careful in the case you're not. Thankfully, this game doesn't have any, like, frigid water mechanics, so being in the water long enough can't cause damage, outside of the literal enemies that are there to try and hit you. The slipperiness when walking around can get a little annoying in some cases, but it's not the worst, because you can just hover over a lot of this stuff anyway. If you jump while dashing, you can clear some serious distance. Did you know that? As my sidekick, you better be a pro at pulling it off. Sure thing, Mo. But that is an important thing to note. When you do a dash jump, you do actively jump notably higher. You at least jump 2 to 4 tiles higher. I don't know the exact count, but it does build up a lot, especially in cases where you can just skip a platform or so by doing a good long jump like that. But it's especially good for distance using the hover. In fact, there's cases like this stage where they will just have no platforms there for you to jump on and you need to just make a good distance. There are times they play star pearls with that don't exactly feel good given the jumps. To the point where here in this section, you can skip these platforms here on the right and just do a complete run jump up to hit these floating platforms. These, by the way, function similarly to donut platforms from Mario. The moment you step on them, they start falling, but they do respawn after a moment, so you're not screwed in the case that you miss a jump there with them. Hey, Starf, look at that. Somebody's trapped in the ice and they're not looking so good. Wait a sec, could that be one of the Gelato Sisters? What's that? You darlings wouldn't happen to know her, would y'all? Well, here's what happened.
Hey, get out of here! Leave our sea alone!
Starting today, this sea belongs to Boerun.
No way! We won't let that happen! Yeah!
Our attacks aren't working.
Then you leave us no choice. It's time to use our special attack. Alright, let's do it!
Quiet. Boerun will show you who's boss.
Ready, and... triple attack! What's happening? I'm frozen! I can't move!
Cross Boerun and feel his wrath.
It's no use.
That's what you get. Now this sea belongs to Boerun. Yeah.
So now the Gelato Sisters are all frozen in ice. Well then, I suppose it's up to the great Mo to be a hero and sort things out. You'll help? Thanks, sweetie. Come here for a big kiss. I don't want any kisses. Stop, help me out here. Being shy, are we? Well then, altogether there are 3 Gelato Sisters. Please find them all. Some friends of mine should be with them, so be sure to work together. Okay, then let's get looking for the 2 remaining sisters. Starfy takes the frozen Gelato Sister with him. Once you have all 3 of them, bring them to me, okay? I'll be waiting just up ahead for you to return. I'll be counting on you. So the structure for this part of the level is that there is a path on the bottom left and right of this room we need to go on before we can progress all the way to the right and talk to Lovely again. Each of the 2 routes do have their own unique challenges, and we'll be seeing those as we go, of course, but just be prepared for whatever's ahead of you. To start, I personally recommend you go to the bottom left first, as you can go to the bottom right and get everything done over there, but there's more stuff waiting for us on the bottom left. Also, one of my favorite places for star pearl grinding in the game is actually right here. If you enter the doors here in the bottom left and right, and just go left, right, over and over again, you can get like 2 or 3, 5 enemy combos in a row. So pretty good for pearls. It'd be bad if you fell down here, so watch where you're jumping. Indeed, we have bottomless pits here. The bottomless pits aren't that big of a threat in this game. They aren't instant kill. They basically just take you back to the entrance with a single damage point taken. In fact, in general, there are no instant kill scenarios in this game off the top of my head. Even getting crushed in some instances just does a single hit point of damage. Hey, Small Fry, what do you know about the Gelato Sisters being hidden?
You must be a friend of that meanie. There's no way I'll ever tell you.
Oh, my daughter seems to think you're one of the bad guys. I don't want to cause you any trouble, so I'll help you look for her.
Let's go, Starf. We gotta catch her. So we have a little bit of a maze section here with some fake walls that do stand out a lot on emulator, but I'm certain on Game Boy Advance they probably stand out a little less.
Ah, you found me. I've got to escape.
Hey, Starf, you let her get away! Quick, after her. We then have to go chase her 2 to 3 more times across the area. But notably, there also are some pretty good hidden star pearls in here. Namely, coming up here on the right, there are instances you can just dig upwards into the wall. And each of those hides like a single 5 pearls, so that's like 20, 30 pearls right there. Very good for getting your health back up, but also very good for contributing towards our end game total we want to grab. So while we're in here, let's finally talk about the main developers for this game, because while this is technically a Nintendo property, they weren't the developers for it. Tosei is. Tosei is a developer that supposedly has over 1,000 credits to their name as a company, but we only know offhand somewhere around 100 of those, because they're what's known as a ghost developer, where they have very little creative input on what they do, and as a policy internally apparently, even refuse to put their names on a lot of the things they actually do work on. And odds are, if you're watching this, you've probably played one of their games without even realizing it. Scattered across basically all generations of hardware, starting with the Game Boy and going into modern day. I'll list some games after this cutscene.
Ah, you found me again. I don't know anything about them. I gotta go.
Starf, what are you doing? Hurry, she's getting away. So let's talk about some things Tosei worked on, starting with things they were actively more involved with porting. For instance, they were the ones that put a lot of the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies onto the PlayStation and later onto the GBA. They worked on the PlayStation portable versions of some of the Star Ocean remakes. They were the ones that helped work on the Wii version of Okami alongside Ready at Dawn. They did the PC version of Metal Gear Solid. They're the ones that ported Breath of the Wild from the Wii U to the Switch. But in terms of what they themselves actively developed, after we finish the next cutscene, I'm going to be reading a list I curated from games more relevant to my interests, at least, off of their Wikipedia article, on top of noting if they co-developed something directly with someone else.
Yo, Starf, while you were being a slowpoke, I managed to catch her. No matter what, I'll never tell you meanies anything.
Oh, there, kid. No need to be so excited. They've come here to help the Gelato Sisters.
But just look at that clam. He seems suspicious.
Fine, I understand. I'll just tell Starfy then.
Hey, what's up with that?
Oh, the secret path will now be opened up for you. Sorry about the trouble. Do your best out there, Starfy.
Gah, that little punk. Anyway, Starf, get going to where the Gelato Sister is. I won't lie, I'm not a big fan of Moe's character archetype, but I think they do some funny lines with him here and there. I even remember playing the DS game and not exactly liking him in that.
I've been waiting for you. Here she is. I've been watching over her.
Starfy takes the frozen Gelato Sister with him. Let me take you to the exit. And now we're back here, so now we can just go to the right, even close that door and mark it with the Gelato Sister icon to say, hey, you've already been over here, go that way. So let's start getting into that curated list of mention of Tosei games I want to mention. They co-developed the Crisis Core remake with Square Enix. They are responsible for Dragon Quest Monsters as an entire sub-series dating back to the original entry on the Game Boy Color. They worked on Super Princess Peach. They co-developed Worlds of Final Fantasy with Square Enix. They co-developed King of Fighters 14 with SNK. And we'll be back to that in a moment.
Ah, that's no good. What should I do?
Hey, miss, what's the problem?
My friend's inside here, but there's also these scary wiggly things about.
Leave it to me. The Great Mo will take care of it.
Really? You're the best. I'm counting on you, Choop.
Don't sweat it. Regardless of wiggling or biting, it won't stop the Great Mo.
So honest and confident.
Okay, let's go. Haley is now tagging along. So the way this entire section works is that we're gonna have holes in the walls that hold eels. They aren't, well, they are damaging enemies for one thing, but you can actually just charge into them and they'll just recede back into their holes, no problem. This is more a problem if you're trying to rush it. So back to that list of Tosei games. They co-developed alongside Square Enix and Tri-Ace Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13. They were the developers for Metal Gear Ghost Babel. They also did a lot of work for the Dragon Quests 1 through 3 ports to Game Boy Color. They're responsible for the NES and Game Boy versions of Yoshi's Cookie. They worked on the Kid Icarus Game Boy game, which is a game I need to tackle at some point. They were responsible for most Dragon Ball Z games on the Super Famicom, and even a lot of them on the on just the standard Famicom, rather. They worked on Icky, a game we actually mentioned relatively recently on the channel when we did Blaster Master 02. But also, just as a personal thing, they did the Muscle game on NES, which is a slight adaptation of the manga Kinnikuman. And I only know this because I had that game growing up through my brother's NES collection. I basically remember nothing about it because I don't think I ever really played it that well or a lot compared to a lot of other games, but I remember it. What I find very interesting about all this, though, is that throughout a lot of their games, Starfy's one of the few series they actively put their name on consistently.
Halo, I've been trying to reach you.
Oh, my honey.
Oh, Halo.
Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get out of here and look for the Gelato Sisters.
Gelato Sisters? Those girls frozen and ice? I saw one up ahead.
Anyway, sorry to leave you like this, but we're off to find something to eat.
All right, let's go. Thanks, you two. Take care.
So one of them's up ahead, huh?
Again, I don't know why the audio cut out in that scene. I'm assuming I clicked on something weirdly and it just made the audio stop capturing. I don't know. For now, though, let's just get over here and get our third Gelato Sister, meaning we're now done with this portion of the level. Did you come to help out the Gelato Sisters?
Yes, we did.
Let me lead you back to where you entered. So now we can head directly above us right now and go talk to Lovely and move on.
Y'all did it. You totally found all of them. Thanks. Up ahead, there's a totally steaming hot spring. Think you could take the Gelato Sisters to it? You're so sweet.
All right, and here we go. So, I'm assuming the main reason that Tosei actually put their name on Starfy is because I think it's one of the series they actually just outright developed rather than working as co-developers or things like that and ghosting it. I think the series is still overall owned and published by Nintendo, it's just that Tosei was the sole developer to the point where I think in that same Nintendo Life interview they talked about it starting development, I think on the Game Boy Color. Slippery hockey time. Hey there, feel like a round of ball hockey? If you beat me, I'll give you a prize. Play the minigame? Minigame rules. Bounce the ball to your opponent's goal. Score 3 points in the time limit to win. A tight score when time runs out equals a loss. Bounce back, move quickly, move left and right. If you've ever played Crash Bash, this is essentially that magnetic version of air hockey. And I won't lie, this is probably the hardest minigame in the game, at least to actually get points in. Because especially on the higher difficulty, Slick gets really good at racing over to wherever Starfy's bouncing and hitting it. My best advice is to try to bounce from one wall to the opposite side of the goal because Slick sometimes has trouble catching that. But ultimately, most times I play this minigame, I don't win via a point victory, I win via timeout and having more points than him on average. The minigames, by and large, I think are fine in this game. This is the one I think that's just a dud in terms of how well it works. With that said, I should note, you can only, in some of the minigames at least, actively have Mo, like, go into his activated gonna hit Starfy upwards animation. When Starfy's nearby, you can't mash the button. Not that that really matters, but it's worth noting all the same in case you're trying to get a hit super early. You can only hit Starfy when he's in a certain range of you, which sounds like a no shit kind of moment, but I mean literally, you can't even activate the technique prior. And there's a timeout, so again, it's most likely way you're gonna win this minigame in my experience. Not too shabby. Here's your prize. Now, I generally like the way these levels are paced when I'm playing them, but this level's probably one of the few that actively feels like it goes on an extra section longer than it should, and it's entirely because of what's coming up here in a few moments. For now, though, watch out for the stalactites of ice. They will fall down if you get below them, though they're so relatively small compared to the room that getting hit by them is a little... I'm not going to say hard, it's technically easy to get hit by anything, just run into it, but they're easy to avoid, is my point. There's only really a few platforms and hazards in the game that I'd say are outright hard to avoid, and usually it's due to the platforming circumstances around them rather than their actual attack, so to speak.
It seems the hot spring's up above, so you'll have to reach that ledge. If you use your star spin and leap from the water, you can probably get up there.
Now, we've been able to do this technically since the start of the game, but if you star spin when trying to leave the water, you do get notably more height than if you tried to just super swim out of it, to the point where, by and large, anytime you're about to get out of the water in the game moving forward, you probably should star spin just to get a little bit of a literal jump on whatever platform you need to do coming up. So it appeared that this water's the hot spring.
So cold, so cold.
I guess these guys don't mind, but there's no way this water's gonna melt ice.
Hey, that's not true. We need the Colbys to heat this thing up. Go find them.
Colby? Who's that?
Those restless guys always hang out in pairs. Boy, when they're in a good mood, they flare up.
I guess if we're to melt the ice, we'll need the help of those Colbys.
The Colbys should be through that door below us. There's 3 pairs of them.
Thus, we need to go search for some extra NPCs and talk to them. They are located throughout this room in various little areas, though are overall pretty easy to spot. Just look for any dead ends in the level design.
We were asleep for a while. Some bad guys came and made us tired. The you kids are shivering up in the hot spring. Got it.
We'll go heat it up, but I wonder why we were put to sleep. And now we just need to do that 2 more times. This door leads to another vehicle section we cannot do yet. Hey, stop! Hold up! You can't proceed through here! Plus, you distracted me, so go somewhere else. I've got some deep thinking to do. Oh, really? I somehow find that hard to believe. Something levels like this do remind me of, though, is what they try to make you do to remix what you can use Starfy's abilities for. Reminds me a little bit of Kirby's Dream Land 3, weirdly.
Tired, very tired. Some strange guy used some sort of spell on us. Huh? You kids are freezing in a chilly hot spring. What's with that?
Let's go warm things up. And now we just need to get the pair, I believe, on the bottom right. There is a route to the top left of the stage. We cannot access that because it's behind those sealed blocks again, which I won't lie, when I was recording the footage, when I first read sealed blocks, just because of the water aesthetic, I read it as sea-led blocks.
We slept too long. Someone we never seen before put us to sleep. What's that? You kids are having trouble with the hot spring. Then let's get over there.
Oh, we'll heat things up. All right, it seems everyone's ready to go. Let's head back and heat things up.
All right, and now we're good to go. Youch, it's hot enough to turn me into a boiled clam. Hurry, throw 'em in.
It's warm, so warm.
Quiet, you're in the way. Move aside for a sec. They're so small.
You saved us! We are spirits who work to protect the seas! We were so close to defeating this big bad guy, but... Where is he? Go directly below here, you'll find him. You think you can take him on? I don't know, you don't look too strong.
I assure you we'll be completely fine. We are getting towards the boss, and I won't lie, Boerun is probably one of my favorite looking bosses in the game, even though the fight itself isn't too much to write home about. We do have one section before we get there, though, as soon as I get greedy over these pearls. And this is one that, it's not a hard section, but it makes me nervous inherently because it's a crusher segment. We have to get to the far right of the room while avoiding the spikes. Oi, Starf! Look at those spikes up there on the ceiling! In a place like that, it'd be a cinch to accidentally touch them. So make sure you stay as far away from him as possible. Huh? Oh, what was that? The ceiling's moving! It's a crusher segment. Get as far to the right as you can before the spikes go all the way down, and hide in a cubby hole. There are times you can get greedy and go one extra cubby beyond, but I recommend playing it safe in these cases and stopping when you think you really should at first. Like right there, I probably could have gotten into that one, but that would be way too close for my taste at this point. Getting touched by the spikes is an instant kill. You just restart at the start of the room again, which is even more annoying in some regards, honestly. The guy who froze the Gelato Sisters is in here. Start by dealing with his kids. Also, watch out for that tough-looking horn he has. Alrighty. You know, in retrospect, I do think it's a little weird they give you the option to just restore your health with enemies and star pearls, but also you get the shell. I guess it's maybe there to just drain your resources more than anything, though. It's boss time. Here's Boerun. Prepare to meet the same fate as those other twerps. So Boerun is a boss fight that's kind of rare in the game in that he's actually more based on his ad than his actual attack. For every HP bar, he'll send out an additional ad that you need to take out before he'll do a charge left to right across the screen. Touching his spike, obviously, will damage you, so don't do that. Instead, go from behind and hit him in the back. Do that 5 times, and you're good. Even as early as the second hit on him, his ads can start showing up on opposite sides of the screen, but that becomes even more likely by the time you reach the 3rd wave. But by the time you reach wave 4 and 5, enemies do show up in active waves of 3 at a time. I think the moment you take out 1 is when the 4th one will spawn. And in that case, with the 5th hit, you need to take out 2 for the later 2 to show up. It's more of a marathon than some fights in terms of the amount of hits you need to do in a close span of time, but ultimately, it's still very easy. Again, there's only a few boss fights in this game I'd actively consider hard. This game, while it's technically meant for all players of all ages, is overall balanced towards a younger audience. If you're wondering why I keep staying silent for that, it's because I like that jingle a lot.
So you're victorious again. It's not the clam that's the problem, but Starfy. You're a nuisance. I'll send you to the deepest depths of the ocean.
Suddenly, a strange evil creature appears. Just where could it be sending Starfy and Mo? We'll find out in the next stage, now won't we? The Sea of Ice does feel like it has a last-second moment of padding in the Colby stuff, but ultimately, it's not too bad of a level. I think there's much worse ice levels you can play, and the ice gimmick doesn't even play that big of a part because of how much of it you're actively in the water for. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we'll be tackling Stage 4/Stage 5 again. It depends on whether or not you count Lobber stages, Stage 0/a tutorial, and Coral Reef as Stage 1. Oh well. See you guys then.